Oh, oh, ah, I got it. Episode 8 in my hand. The Trifecta Talks.
Great intro. Wonderful.
Yeah. So the outro. Welcome back. We're in the new year officially, 2025.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Loved that. So theatrical.
We got a lot in store. We're going to talk. It's pretty much going to be all about Switch because things are ramping up. This is
Happy New
supposedly
Year.
supposed to be the year for Switch 2. So with that, we're going to start off and just kind of get our blood going here and talk about some of our favorite Switch games. Jared, I think you're biting at the bullet.
I'm not really, but I'll give mine if that's sure. My favorite. It was pretty easy. It's and I'm going to be even more honest. It's the only one I've ever beaten on Switch. I've only ever beaten one game on Switch. I've had the Switch for many moons, and I've only ever beaten one game. And that's Zelda Breath of the Wild. That is the only game I've ever beaten on Switch. I thought about it while I was going to the bathroom earlier. I was like, what is the only game? I think it's Zelda. I think that's the only one.
Really?
Yeah, that's the only one I've played. This is the thing. And I think Brian knows. I don't think you know so much, Brandon, because you're pretty much, when you start something, you want to finish it. Brian and I think we've had this conversation before, but we have a hard time finishing games. I know I do. I have a very hard time. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one like that.
Well, that's the thing with Switch. Like for me, there's so
I
many
have
games
so
that
many
I bought
story
and
games on the
like,
back burner
really
that have been going on for
and
years.
Then I never finish it. But Breath of the Wild was the only one to really, sink its teeth into me, and I was like, I gotta finish that, And it's the only Zelda. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you'll hate me for the one I never got around to finishing yet. It's still on my PS5, waiting to be played again. But it's Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, I can at least say I've beaten that one. Oh,
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy is so good. But but it's like Zelda again, the only one I've ever beaten, and it's amazing. Breath of the Wild is also the only Zelda game I have ever seen the end credits for. I've never beaten another Zelda game. That's the only one. And I say I love Zelda, and I do, but I've never beaten another one. That is the only one I've beaten. I've come pretty close. Wind Waker, I feel like I got pretty close, but not quite close enough to where I was like, okay, I want to finish that. I've started many, but only finished one. And Breath of the Wild I think, is the best Switch game. Personally, out of any of the other ones I've played, I think it's the best. Although I did get Super Mario RPG for Christmas, and I'm looking forward to playing that. So,
and it'll be the second game you beat, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be the second one if I ever get to it. Plenty of games on the back burner right now, but Breath of the Wild, one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. An easy pick for me to be the best Switch game. Bri, what about you?
So there are plenty of AAA like Nintendo titles that I love on the Switch, like Mario Kart 8, Smash Ultimate, and Odyssey, which are all like
I've beaten Odyssey.
For probably some of my favorite Switch games. But my favorite one, probably,
me too. I just had
port.
tunnel vision. I was like, oh,
and
I've seen that last mission of the game. I've seen it.
Okay. Well, there you go. You've beaten 2. Okay, there you go. Just clicked, yeah. Oh my god. and going to games we finished, my favorite one is one that I finished, but I've beaten others like Odyssey. I beat 2 other ports, replaying Borderlands 1 and pre-sequel. Those are both, I'd say, are great ports for the Switch. But my favorite one, which is a port, which after buying in 2018, I think.
Talked about that.
Because it was out pretty early after it came out on PC. And then finally beating it 2 years ago was Katana Zero. It's such a good 2D side-scrolling stealth like samurai game that's like almost like a cyberpunk-esque kind of thing. I loved it. I loved every like little bit of it. And once I like started playing it again, because it was one of those games where I started and never finished, and I finally like I had to restart
That's
it because
cool.
it had been 4 or 5 years since I had last played it. So I completely restarted it and just finished it within about a week, all on Switch. Mostly handheld. I didn't play much of it on TV, which is even cooler. Like playing it on the. It looked great on the handheld. So, and that's one that I don't think of often as one of my favorite games ever. But I there's really nothing about it that I don't like. It's very challenging. I love the art style, the sound effects, the score. The score is really good. The story is like the story is simple, but it's simple until it's not, until it starts becoming very, very like complex towards the end of it, which I loved, and it kind of leaves you on an open-ended note, which I won't spoil much anything else from it if anybody else wants to play it if you haven't. Um, but I would absolutely go back and
Mason,
play it again because
I'm
I've
sure
heard
you
there are
got a
multiple
few.
endings based on what you do towards the
I have a
end.
few.
So, yeah, I
It's
would say
definitely hard
Katana
to
Zero.
pick one because I feel like this was Nintendo's renaissance in ways. So I feel like almost every game that they put out was a banger, with some lows, obviously. But then again, some of those lows probably weren't targeted to me. Like I've played Princess Peach Showtime, and that's more of like a family, more elementary type game, but still a good time. I mean, it's got that Nintendo polish still, and they tried something new, um, and that was interesting. But I'd say some of my favorites would definitely be like Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, um, just being the superior Mario Kart, and that goes the same for Smash Bros. Ultimate. Like the fact that I don't know, 6 years down the line after the Switch came out, instead of making Mario Kart 9, they went ahead and just added 32 tracks to the game and if you were a Nintendo Switch Online person, they were for free, or you paid only $25 for it, and that was like a
Yeah.
pretty sweet deal. Plus new characters and whatnot, so that works for me. So I mean, it was basically just a big old expansion. Uh, Pikmin 4, the most long-awaited Pikmin, and it feels like the best the franchise has had to offer. It feels like they finally nailed down what they want a Pikmin game to feel like, and also the fact that you can play all 4 Pikmins on the Switch. Like that's simply amazing in itself. And then maybe some of like the recent ones, like Mario Party Jamboree, like
Yep.
probably the best Mario Party we've had in such a long, long time. And just been experimenting new things like what is it called? The Legend of Zelda, the Wisdom of Power. I can't remember the name of it.
Echoes of
You play
Wisdom.
as Zelda. Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah. So I feel like there's some great franchises there, but there's also some really crazy ideas that they tried out, and some of them actually worked out pretty well. And I think some of those things might stay on Switch and maybe not return. So it's good to have them there. So yeah, that's pretty much. I can't really give a good answer. I'd say if anything, it was that first year Switch where all the hype was there and people were like pointing at every single trailer that came out. So everything, from Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Odyssey, and Mario Rabbids, which really wasn't. That was a conjoined effort between Ubisoft and Nintendo, but I think it's still first party in some ways. So yeah, I didn't play a lot of the ports.
You didn't play a lot of the ports. I was gonna say something. I was gonna ask you a question that I had a tickle in my throat. Where does Animal Crossing: New Horizons rank for you in your favorite Switch games? Because you and I played that together, while also, you played it a lot more than I did.
Hold that thought, okay?
Okay, I'll hold it right here.
Thanks. I have to use the bathroom.
We are 10 minutes into the show, and he has to go potty now. Brian, did you ever play Animal Crossing? Not your thing. On Switch, it's just been one. Yeah.
No, I've thought about getting one of like the earlier ones that came out. Because how many have come out on Switch? What, like 2? Like, oh, just the one. I've thought about picking one up.
Yeah.
I think it'd be some. Just don't know how much I'd play it. I like the style. I think it'd be a cool little
what's
game
nice
to
about Animal Crossing, it's
kinda
like,
sit back and relax and
you can play
play.
it at your own leisure.
But I just
it's definitely like an
I have to
investment game
finish the other games that I have.
where if you're
already.
going to start it, you're going to devote some serious time. I mean, Lydia played it. My wife played it a decent amount on her 3DS. She put like over 100 plus hours into it on the 3DS version.
Yeah.
She played it a lot when when our first son was born, and so she just dipped so much time into it. But that's a game you could play 30 minutes a day, put it down, come back to it, each and every day, or play it for 2 hours, or play it for a couple more, whatever. The other game I was thinking about on the Switch that I really liked as we were having this conversation, I really like Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Lydia and I, my wife, and my son, the three of us played it a decent amount, and it was pretty good. Really enjoyed that. Also, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands is really good. I never beat that game, but that game is really good. It feels like Mario Odyssey, but Kirby. It's pretty much.
A friend of mine really likes that Kirby game. He really, like, him and his girlfriend played it a lot.
Yeah, I mean more in like a level design sense than an art style.
That's cool. Because Mario Odyssey had a really good art style.
The big open
something
levels,
like that was would work in other franchises.
But a very linear finish.
Oh,
right?
that's kind of what I was like leaning towards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's really good. Welcome back there.
Yeah, because like you have the freedom to like go around, but at the end of the day, you have to go a specific way to finish the level.
Wow, you squeezed that out and wiped real quick, huh?
Oh, I did have to squeeze.
Pee-pee man. That was a quick one.
All right, well, on that note, let's go. That's a hell of a transition. Go ahead.
Well, hold on. Actually, real quick before we move on to Switch 2, I know, Brandon, I know you said that you didn't really play many ports. You played a lot of just like Nintendo titles on Switch. I really liked. I played a lot of ports. I think I played more ports than Nintendo titles on that, and I think that's one of the strengths the Switch had was the idea of taking like any like PC game or like a console game or whatever and throwing it on handheld. Like, I mean, that was the dream for a while for a lot of games, and like
they both
PlayStation had a go of it twice.
Brandon actually
and
has a Vita.
The PSP was way ahead of its time. The PS
very
Vita was like a hit or miss depending on who you talk to. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. But like, there's all these other games that were console or PC only, and you couldn't play them elsewhere unless you had very very like high powered emulators to take elsewhere. But then the Switch came out, and then they started doing all these ports like Katana Zero, and then I just got Firewatch, and this one is it's hated by a lot of people. I think it plays great offline, and that's the Battlefront and Battlefront 2 remaster, whatever you want to call it. It's I didn't really play much of it online, but I will say the offline stuff, like, and if you were to play with people as like a co-op lobbies or whatever, like if you're just doing like small stuff like 2 people, 3 people, whatever, that played so smoothly.
Yep.
The frame rate was kicked way up. That looks great. I'd say that's, aside from the offline or the online like server disasters that game had, 50% of the game was a success in terms of getting it onto like porting it and remastering it and putting it on Switch. That was a really cool idea. They could have done it better, absolutely, but I still think that was another like at least half decent port. The Borderlands games too. I mean, that Legendary Collection was such a good deal if you ever got it on sale. Even like the standard price is still pretty good, and all those games. That was one I was a little worried about on of how it was going to handle on Switch. I know the Switch is already generally powerful enough, but you're going from Nintendo's games that are specifically made to play on that to these Borderlands games that are higher powered, more bigger open worlds, stuff like that, different art styles, whatnot. And they played seamlessly. Like it was basically just like playing the 360 PS3 versions on there. And since you're playing on a smaller screen, even on like TVs, it looked great, but on handheld, it looked really, really good. So I'd say the Switch's capabilities for doing ports was like incredible.
I would
That's
like
something-
Brandon
Before
to
we-
talk
Moving on to our
about-
next thing, that's
sorry,
I'll
go
say.
ahead. I was to say I would
for
like
Switch
Brandon
2,
to,
I hope that's
to talk
something
about
that
these
it will
leaks
continue
that
to do, which I'm
supposedly
sure it
happened,
will.
because I know nothing. I'm completely in the dark. So
Oh,
I would like to
sure.
learn about them as we have this conversation. I'd like to learn about them.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna add way back top 5 probably for New Horizons.
So top 5 for New Horizons for you? You said yeah. Did you think about that while you were squeezing one out?
What my what?
I said, were you thinking about that while you were squeezing one out?
Oh no, I wasn't. No, I think it's just my top 5 just because that game came out in a critical point in everybody's lives. I think.
Yup.
You could say, and yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those games I think hit. Not saying it's hit its high note. I have my hopes and dreams on what the next one will be, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit. But I think it like finally hit a note where like this can appeal to everybody, and we really hit a mark here because now mostly globally, a lot of people have played Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think it is a top 5 seller. Last I checked it, it was like I can't remember where it's at. I know Mario Kart's number 1.
It's huge. Insane.
With that, let's talk about Switch 2. So, if you haven't heard, things are really imminent for Switch 2. I mean, we're not full complete 8th year, but when March rolls around, it'll be 8 years with the Nintendo Switch, which is
holy
a little
bananas. Oh my god, 8 years with that thing?
8 years.
Guys,
And
we're old.
Yeah, it was announced back in October 2016 and came out March 2017. So March will be a full 8 years.
I know.
So with that, it's it's been very apparent that something's been going on, obviously, in the backgrounds. We're in the middle of the current gen, which is kind of right around the time when the first Switch came out. It was like right in the time where the PS4 Pro was coming out, or it just came out right before it, or that year. I can't quite remember. But anyways, things are very imminent. People are talking, and things are getting leaked as always because Nintendo likes to wait. And I think they only do that just because they want to make sure that they have everything in stock and everyone's able to get one day one, which it sounds like from articles I've been reading, that's sort of what their plan is currently. So with that, we'll just quickly talk about some things that we do know. So I think the first thing to know is that it is happening. There is a successor Switch console coming. It was announced in a tweet from Furuwaka, the president of Nintendo, basically, of Japan. And he states that mostly every time a direct comes about, that no new Switch 2 news will be announced, or none of the successor Switch will be announced. So obviously, something is in the works. Something is happening. There is a Switch 2 existing. Another thing that's been confirmed is the console will be backwards compatible officially. you can play both physical and digital games backwards. That was unveiled during an investors meeting back in December, I believe. So kudos to that. And
That's
the last
huge.
thing we know, yeah, that's immensely huge because, and we could talk about this in the hopes and dreams a bit, but what this means is just like how PS4 did it, I think we can see a lot of games get boosted. Now, whether that is you have to pay an additional amount or maybe you just need a Switch Online membership to get the boosted graphics, 1080 or 4K running at 60, so on and so forth. Um, that's still unknown. But I don't know. This is the first time Nintendo has been in this realm where they've actually boosted graphics on their games. I think every time you put a GameCube disc in a Wii or you put a Wii disc in a Wii U, it never boosted the performance or fidelity. It was all the same for the most part, as they were very minor jumps in between the consoles. I think you might have played at 720p or 1080p when it came to Wii U, but everything stayed the same. There was no nothing looked grand, basically. So that's a hope, I guess. Jumping in early on that would be when the time comes when we can do backwards compatibility. Will there be games that are boosted, just like I guess kind of how the PS5 handled with the PS5 Pro? Some games automatically got an update where it was PS5 Pro compatible, and you could play games at 4K at 60 with no problem and still have everything else going on. So that's that. And I think the last thing we know is there's supposed to be an announcement by end of March 2025. Something Switch 2 will happen. Whether it is releasing in March, whether it's being announced in March, something will happen by March 2025, which is the end of the fiscal year for Nintendo. And again, this is the hope. If they want to repeat how they did it last time, they would probably release it in March again, like they did with the first Switch. So yeah, that's pretty much all we know. That is confirmed, actually true. There is not coming from Reddit or anything like that. So yeah, I don't think there's too much to talk about. I think the biggest thing to take away is that it'll be backwards compatible. So all your Switch games will work, both digitally and physically. Will move over to the next console with ease. So, and the best part is now that we have Nintendo accounts, your save data, all that will be transferred seamlessly rather than having to do a whole process where you'll have to switch the consoles back and forth. You'll have to basically, you won't have to have both consoles in the same room in order to transfer everything over.
Having it all streamlined is really smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. You said that there was leaks. You said something was going on today. What was being thrown out there today?
Are you ready? I'm going to share my screen for this one.
Sure. As long as you don't have anything you don't want to see.
No. It might get a little crude.
The New Age, Brian? Isn't that the name of the second one?
Nothing crude. Or the crudes.
Oh boy.
Is this real?
This is
so.
supposedly. This is supposedly very real.
Oh boy!
A lot of sources have confirmed that this Joy-Con is the real deal.
Is there more to that? What's the?
So you can see it has a much more, and these were kind of patents that were released already. So from what you can already tell, this design has a much more sleeker edge to it. You can see it's more rounded at the top and bottom.
Yeah.
Rather than a more not fatty, but it's a not as quick as a turnaround at the arcs. It's a bit more flush. It seems like I don't know what the word I'm looking is. But the biggest thing to know is that there were rumors, and I think this kind of confirms it now. But there were patents that said the Joy-Cons are losing the rail. There's no more rail. It's all going to be magnetic. And this confirms that because you can see here
Oh,
those
in the
little
top.
circles.
Yeah.
Yes, those are all magnetic. So, and if you look really close, right here, that little trigger is actually to pull the Joy-Con apart. So when it's in your dock, you just pull them apart, and then that's it. And then there's no more, because I think the issue with what the first Switch was that the rails started to break down if you were like a very violent gamer and didn't really take care of your stuff. The rails would, have a hard time getting back in and off, in and off. And I think that was an issue with the first generation of the Switch. The OLED is a bit more faster with the pull, but these newer ones, they don't have the small button to detach and throw back on. It's all on that little trigger, and you just press that trigger, and they should just pull apart just like that. Um, so yeah, I'd say that's pretty innovative. It's an exciting new touch to the Joy-Con, I'd say. Um, yeah. Did you guys have any other thoughts you wanted to add to it?
Bry guy.
Yeah.
I think that's innovative. I never really had an issue with like my sliders. I guess I just
I
took
think
good
another
care of
thing
my
to look
Switch.
at this just by this alone.
But I think this is a really
is
cool
the
idea, and I've
SL
never
and
seen
SR
any other
buttons
gaming
are
company do
bigger.
that. So I'm
They're
intrigued.
not
I'm
those tiny little
intrigued to see
pieces,
how it works.
which kind of gives headway to say, um, not a lot of people are using the straps, basically. Not to say they won't come with straps. I
Yes.
feel like they still would come with straps in some capacity, but I feel like when you're on the go, you're not also carrying the straps with you.
God bless America.
Thank you. But I think that's the case. It's like that's originally what they envisioned, that you would take off a Joy-Con, pass it to a
God
friend,
bless
and
you.
play like that.
God
And that
bless
was
them.
fine, for being as nifty as it was. But I think people got tired of just like their hands cramping up because they'd have to put their fingers at just the right position to really get those small buttons at the top of the Joy-Con when they're doing two-player stuff, or just playing by themselves in that style if they so desire. So I think having those bigger buttons is going to be a great deal breaker. I think another thing to notice here, the size of the analog stick is massive. Like that's a bigger analog stick than the typical Switch stick. Yeah, I mean it. I think just from looking at it, it's a flatter design. You're gonna get more thumb coverage out of it. And I think that was like one of the biggest things that the first Switch, not really complaints, but the nuances. I think they designed it to be small just so they could fit everything onto it, but now things have gotten better, obviously, so they're able to make bigger sizes and bigger buttons for people who do have larger hands. Because most of the time I always played with my Pro controller, which had bigger buttons and bigger analog sticks, so this is a huge game saver. I think it's going to be awesome when we see that come through fruition. So that's like the biggest one that we had today. So just seeing this though means that like a lot is to come very soon. Like a lot of manufacturers are getting their cases ready, for third parties to sell, and they're getting all these blueprints of what the Switch looks like to make these products happen. So, and this is just one of the early signs of that. So yeah, that's probably one of the most fun things that I found today.
That's pretty cool. I think something I've been thinking about when it comes to this console is I worry about it having the Wii U effect, and in that if you're a mom or a dad who's not necessarily tech savvy, and your son or daughter comes to you and says, "I want the new Switch," and they go, "Well, we just bought you a Switch like not that long ago. Why do you want?" Same thing with Wii. Oh, I want the new Wii. Well, you just got a Wii, not that. You know what I mean? So I wonder how. I mean, that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think. Backwards compatibility definitely helps with that, but they also did that with the Wii U too, saying, "Hey, it's backwards compatible with the Wii." I don't want to see them just fail again. That's just something that I've been thinking about in my head.
I think a lot of people have been thinking that, but I'd
Yeah.
also say this is a totally new generation. I forget what they're calling this generation now, but basically this generation is very, very into like what is happening on the internet, like very in tuned of like
That make
I
okay.
want
That
this.
point, yeah, that's a good point.
I think back then what was going on is like the Wii. It was a. I think the biggest issue with the Wii was that it was a naming convention problem, and because a lot of targeting was toward adults, family members, grandparents, they didn't know. They were just happy with the Wii,
That's
and
a fair point.
I
Yeah.
think the Switch 2 is at a totally different demographic. It is, if you just look at the first trailer or just any of the commercials, mind you, I mean, some of them obviously have kids in them, which was the biggest problem with Wii U, was like a lot of them were targeting children. And I think that was just, at that time, a generation didn't quite grasp that of like the next generation. And there wasn't just a lot of word of mouth about it. But I think we live in such a different time now where there's always talk and there's always people buzzing, and Nintendo's got, partners on YouTube or what may be it that are able to talk about the Switch 2 and really dig down deep. So I think I have high hopes. I don't think they'll run into the issue again. And along with that, I'm glad. So the other rumor is that the logo leaked, and it's simply just the Nintendo Switch 2. They're not pulling the stops. They're not going to play with people like they did with the Wii and Wii U, where it felt like an expansion to the Wii. This will straight up be just a new console. And I think a lot of that will be to those smaller differences where like the Joy-Con look bigger, the screen is going to look bigger. There's going to be a logo that says Nintendo Switch 2 on the back of it. I mean, those things are going to be what helps it, because once it's out and about, that's what drives it, I think. So, I don't know. But I think my thing is that, we live in a different generation where I think kids are more in tune. And also the demographic of this is very young adult, young adolescent, that kind of deal. I mean, if you've seen the games that they've put out, there's something for everybody, which I think that's kind of been their motto, is that there's something for everybody, from The Legend of Zelda to Animal Crossing to indies, a lot of great indies. And I think that itself is a great selling point, which they used for a while. Like they have their own indie showcases,
and also putting
huge.
mature rated games on there on the Switch also,
Yes.
I think, helped them for sure to open up that door.
Yes.
And not be so confined to a box, not only releasing like one or two adult games. No, we have a whole slew of them on Switch now, and that's huge. That completely opens the door, like you said, to your point, of something for everybody.
And I think there's been rumors too that a lot of developers have already seen it and already have games ready to go, both ports and brand new games that are going to newer consoles. So that's exciting in itself. I mean, I'd like to see what happens. There were, a long time ago, there was some rumor that, what was it? Grand Theft Auto 4 was going to come to Switch, and people are now leading to believe it's going to Switch, and that's going to be a console seller because you can't buy it anywhere else on the storefront digitally on the other consoles. It's gone. You can't.
GTA 4, you could buy GTA 4 on the Xbox storefront and on PC. Yeah. Now it doesn't play, at least on PC. The PC version has issues as far as I know, because it's not properly not compatible. Maybe compatibility is the word I want to use, but it's not properly it's not up to date with modern rigs, like PCs, because especially a lot of like Rockstar games in particular struggle with that. A lot of Bethesda games, like older Bethesda games, can't run on newer systems. So that would make sense that if they're going to put it, let's say, even in like a physical form on Switch and have it ironed out better, and maybe that might open the gate for like a quote unquote remaster for oh my god, a Grand Theft Auto 4 remaster. I imagine that thing had multiplayer. I remember Grand Theft Auto 4 multiplayer. That was amazing. Grand Theft Auto 4 multiplayer was so fun. So that would be really cool.
I think that's the rumor though, because they have that subsidiary. I don't know if it still exists, but it's Grove Street Games. They did the trilogy, which wasn't great, but it got fixed. Like it's way better now. And I was actually just gonna say another Switch. I forgot I did play it and finish San Andreas on Switch, and it was great. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming they're working on something. I did they also do the Red Dead remaster?
Don't know.
Yes,
For Switch?
Grove Street. Yeah,
I don't know
The
that
first
answer.
one.
Red
Yeah.
Dead remaster came out for
Oh,
all,
wait,
but it came
yeah,
on Switch
yeah.
as well.
How did the Switch version play? Do we know?
Specifically.
I never played
it. It was pretty good.
Hold on.
I heard it was
Let
pretty
me
good.
Take a quick look.
I mean, it just looks like a PS3 version, which is what it came out on, right?
PS3 and 360.
I
originally,
heard
yeah.
it was
Yep.
good.
They did it a lot this generation,
It
especially on the Switch.
was-
Like another one I think about was a PS3 exclusive that got remasters, but
Yeah.
the Switch version was just the straight PS3 port. It wasn't a remaster, and that was Ni no Kuni 1, which was an RPG on PS3, and that one got ported directly to Switch. Like that version got ported to Switch. So I wonder if, and there's like no remaster, no updated textures, literally just straight port. So I wonder if they're going to do that with Grand Theft Auto 4 for the Switch. But I'll tell you, that would be pretty sick. That'd be pretty cool. They did it with Red Dead. Could they do it? They can also do it with Grand Theft Auto as well. But imagine if they said Grand Theft Auto 5 was coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Listen, I've heard some rumors, grain of salt rumors that there is potential for it to come to Switch, because they claim that this console is between a PS4 Pro and an Xbox Series S. So it has ray tracing. So this was the other rumor, and I'll talk about this now while I'm at it. But it will have ray tracing and output to 4K. Handheld's 1080. I mean, maybe it could work, but we don't know yet. I mean, a lot of people have been, like I said, a lot of people have been holding out when they show trailers not to show the Switch 2 logo. So any games that have been announced could be a Switch 2 game, for all we know. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was, the other rumor was, and I talked about this a lot with you guys recently, but to those who don't know, there was a patent floating around, the patent got released, I think, last week, which kind of gave a bit more confirmation to this rumor, but it's not fully, obviously, confirmed by Nintendo. But the rumor is that NVIDIA created this new kind of technology, this DLS technology that I've talked about previously, where what it does is basically, so because like they use the cartridges still on the next console, big games can't handle cartridges.
Yep.
For obvious reasons. So what this new technology does, it's all AI based. So even though your game might be like 200 gigs or 100 gigs, let's just say, you can dumb that 100 gig down to 30 or 40 or what may it be. Because what is happening, instead of having everything on the cartridge, the NVIDIA chip or the DLSS is doing the work for it to make it look nice. It's using AI to differentiate and say, okay, we're in a very heavy populated area. We're gonna shrink down the background a little bit and not show the skylight as much, but everything up front is gonna look nice and clean. With 4K and 60.
DLSS is what NVIDIA uses, if I'm not mistaken, in their graphics cards for PCs. They use the same thing to kind of. It's a frame generation where they use it. Maybe they downscale the look, but they up the frame rates to make it run smoother. So it sounds like that maybe that's what they'll do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the idea is that this will always be turned on, and it's going to be implemented into the Switch. Like it's not going to be just for certain games. Like every game that goes on Nintendo Switch will have this feature. Because I think it's only some games that use this NVIDIA DLSSR or whatever they call it. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody correct me. But the idea is that basically larger games can go on smaller cartridges because they're still going to have to use cartridges in the end. So yeah, that's really good. That means we probably won't see games that are like at 100 gigabytes. They'll be way less than that. So buying a memory card will be cheap if you already have a nice one to begin with. Kudos. So, and even like 1 terabyte ones aren't as bad these days. Like as we progressively, like PS5 ones, like you have to get a whole, I forget what they call it, but you gotta put
SSDs,
it
baby.
in the console. Yeah, internal SSDs. So
expensive.
but now you won't need that. You just got to get and still have to use a micro SD card, and you're good.
Significantly
Which don't
cheaper.
cost a lot these days.
No, they way cheaper than a SSD. Way cheaper.
But if that's all true, then that means sure it's not going to be up there with the greats, but there's a lot of potential to also get games that are both on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S because it's going to use that DLSSR to pick and choose, by itself. Like, okay, we can handle this. We can go full 4K at 60, or we can go 1440 at 30. Like, it's going to decide that for you, rather than picking over performance over fidelity. It's just going to do that work for you without any nuance in between. So I think in that way, they are a step up because, you can do it with the PS5 Pro, but if you just have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, you have to choose between what do you want. Do you want fidelity or do you want performance? But the Switch is going to be, it's whatever it can handle at the moment, which is great. So all around, you're going to get the best gameplay, the best cutscenes throughout your entire time and not feel struggled between, like this would look great in 60 or this would look great in 4K. It's like you can have the best of both, basically. So if all that's true, kudos. And I think that works just because it's going to be hard to compete. Like when you plug in to your dock, which is the other thing, the dock is going to be more powerful. The dock is actually going to have a fan and some kind of circuitry going on compared to the first dock. The first dock is, it's supposedly just, the first dock is really just like a holder. It's really just a case to put it in and bits and trinkets to put it to the TV. But they're saying that this dock has a bit more oomph to it to give it the power to get into 4K mode or 1440 and roll with it. So that was some of the rumors that I've been hearing recently. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. But those are the big ones: the Joy-Cons, the DLSSR being implemented in the Switch, and just the dock also being beefed up too, rather than just it being straight up handheld.
It's a lot of information to take in.
I know,
It's a lot
and
of
yet
stuff.
we know nothing. And yet we can't
know
confirm
nothing
it
at
all.
all. I can't remember. Did you say?
Well, I'll say one more rumor.
Okay.
The rumor is January 8th is the announcement.
Isn't that tomorrow?
It's like 3 days from now.
Oh, I thought today was the 7th.
But
Today's the 5th.
they got to say something, because here's the thing, and I've said this before a million times, and I know everyone's thinking the same thing, but right now, currently Switch has only 2 games coming out in the next 2 months that are confirmed for a release date. It's Donkey Kong, a port, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. 3.
Yeah.
And that's it. Both ports. They have nothing else. So, something's got to give. Something has to be said by now, or else we're in trouble. Now, I've heard rumors that there is actually technically one more game still coming out for Switch, um, but it might be a dual release with the Switch 2. Um, but I don't know if that's all true or not, because there was a rumor, and I think this is what they're thinking it is. They're thinking it's uh, a Wii U port of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker in one package deal.
They've been talking about that for freaking ever, dude. I mean, come on. They've been talking about that port, whatever they want to call it, for years now.
Yeah.
Come on.
They always come about.
Years.
They always come around sometime. Anyways, so keep your eyes peeled, I guess, for January 8th. Typically, they announce if something's coming either 2 days before or the night before, so I don't know. And it could easily just be like the announcement trailer they did in October, where it's just a sizzle reel of like the console and doesn't talk about the features, but it schedules that for like the next month. But it's imminent. If they have to announce this thing before March, I don't think they'll do it days before their fiscal year ends.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need some pull up by that tail end. And I don't think, I mean, they've had some great games throughout the year, but I don't think Donkey Kong and, Xenoblade is going to help pull in the last flavor of sauce they need to get through the fiscal year.
That's a lot of information.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's the hope.
That's a lot to take in. I guess we'll just wait and see for that.
Official,
I would assume is the 8th,
YouTube
according to
page
Mr. Brandon.
The Fortnite Winterfest
So we'll see.
cinematic trailer that came
the hope.
out 2 weeks ago. That was the last thing they released on their official channel.
It's Christmas
Fortnite.
break.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
The second most important.
They'll
thing
usually
they're
post
gonna
on like
release
their Twitter or
this year.
Facebook that stay
Or,
tuned on Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways,
We'll see what happens.
Dang, never mind.
so now we can talk a little bit about what our hopes and dreams are for the console. And I have a lot. But I've been talking a lot, so why don't one of you hit it off first?
I would actually like Brian to go, and I'm going to follow Brian somehow, but I'm going to do it.
I have one big thing, and if there's anything anything else that comes up when I'm saying my big hope and dream is for the Switch 2, I'll say it. But my big one, and it's purely a hypothetical because it's still dead in the water. We don't know anything about it. We don't even know if it's ever coming. I want.
That's what you get for spewing
Scalebound to release on Switch 2. Whether it is I completely messed up my camera it's not. Watch this year. Watch it come out. They're gonna make because Nintendo, out of the big three, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, it was always Nintendo that was rumored to pick it up. It could have been on Switch for years, but obviously nothing ever came out. There was no teasers, no nothing. It's purely just been not even rumors, just like basically pitches thrown out there, like a whole lot of nothing. So if it were to happen, I would think it would happen on Switch 2. I don't think anybody else is going to pick up. I think it was supposed to be a Microsoft or a Xbox exclusive, and then like Xbox and PC or something like that. And then it obviously nothing. It just they canceled it. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Scalebound releases on Switch 2. It most likely will not be a day one release. If it was, that'd be crazy. That'd be one of the craziest day one launches ever because it's not like a big franchise that Nintendo is known for at all. It's not a franchise to begin with. It's like it's its own game. But if it were to come out at all, I would still wait a little bit probably to get Switch 2, but I think that'd be for me, that'd be a console seller. I don't know of anything else. If anything else comes up while you guys are explaining yours, I'll throw it out there. But Scalebound is what is my big hope and dream for the Switch 2.
On this particular thing than I do adding anything. However, as we are talking, that Twilight Princess Wind Waker HD bundle would be pretty sweet. Up those frame rates, buddy. Let's see something in 60 FPS. Wind Waker especially has held up amazingly well.
Could you imagine that thing in 4K 60?
There might be a way to upscale it via some emulators out there, but just saying,
I would say
doing it natively through nuts. Nintendo definitely sounds like a much better option.
Twilight Princess was such a great upgrade on Wii U. It'd go freaking nanners on a Switch 2 just to see, and it would sell easily. Like you're putting two different.
That's what baffles me about Nintendo sometimes is that it's almost like it's right here. Like this is what you have. All you have to do is do this thing right here. You just got to do it, and they never. It's most times I feel like they just go, nah. It's like, like come on, let's go. The other one too.
I feel like.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but like they do it because they know when to pull it out. Like they're like, oh, this year ain't doing well. And they're
right.
like,
here it is. Here's the Metroid Prime remaster coming.
Yeah, or like, there was that one time where like that dead Metroid game, Metroid Dread, everyone went like bananas over it. Like people thought that whole game was dead in the water.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why they made it a limited time this game, but the 3D All Stars was like, who cares if it was like a 3-month limited thing and you could only get it for so long?
Yeah,
that's all three Mario games.
And now it's a $90 game.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of crazy, but yeah, they do the limited time thing. Like at that same time, they did the Super Mario 35. Game, which I just played to absolute nauseum. I just loved that game so much, and I wish they would bring it back.
The one that was on Wii, or
no? Super Mario Brothers 35 was the Battle Royale Mario Brothers game.
Oh,
so fun, so fun. They had what a amazing opportunity they had to add more Mario levels to that game, but it was just the first Mario that they did, the very first Mario game that they threw in there. But they could have added a bunch of other stuff to it and made it go on for a long time. It really irritated the crap out of me. But the Zelda HD collection would be pretty sweet. That would definitely be what I'd look at and say, okay, that'd be pretty cool. And Ocarina Majora's Mask full-fledged HD remaster, maybe just take the 3DS versions and just upscale them. Because I'll tell you, that Ocarina of Time on 3DS is pretty sweet. So why don't I just take it and put it on Switch? That version. I know they're already on Switch. I know through the Nintendo Switch Online service they're already there. But just like a full HD remaster of those games would be amazing. Mario Galaxy 2, that's another one. I know I'm naming a lot of remasters and ports as opposed to original stuff. Mario Galaxy 2. A new Rhythm Heaven game would be pretty awesome. I played that a little bit on Wii. That game was pretty great.
You're not alone on that.
Oh, Rhythm Heaven is so good.
They're saying that might be the other game to get announced for the last Switch game.
A new Rhythm Heaven?
Yeah, because we didn't get one at all on Switch.
Did we get one on Wii U?
Nope.
Did we get one on Wii U?
No.
What happened? You blanked out. What happened?
I don't know. Something happened. You blanked out too.
Oh, was there a glitch in the system? Maybe it's those damn
There
headphones
was.
you're wearing.
No. No, there wasn't one on Wii U. The last one was on 3DS, and that one was at the tail end of the 3DS.
The one on Wii is
I
pretty
think
good.
it's
I played that a decent amount.
yeah.
That's it for me.
Anything?
I mean, I don't think I have anything else in terms of games. Better online. I think that's got to be. I mean, if that's got to be, at least for me, a top priority.
How
Better,
so?
more streamlined way to chat with your buddies on their
Oh.
console. Something's got to be
I think
streamlined
it's-
there.
Yeah, I think it's coming. I think there's kind of like small rumors that that's what they're working on.
Because they have all the meat and potatoes there, like to be able to play Super Nintendo games online, NES games online, 64 games, all those games, to be able to play those games online is awesome. But the fact that the only way you can communicate with a buddy is to do it through their app is so silly. So to imagine being able to just streamline that to the console, I think it would just open the door so much for them, and it would just make everything. There would no longer be this conversation. I feel like if their online was more streamlined, there would no longer be a conversation of, well, Xbox and PlayStation are kind of here and PC's kind of here, but here's Nintendo. It's like, well, Nintendo now can come with them and say, nope, we're going to do this with you. Even though Nintendo is, the Switch sold like bananas, it's still selling crazy, but
It just did you see it just passed PlayStation 2 domestically?
that's crazy. That's insane. That's so cool. And think about it. That system, the Nintendo Switch, is underpowered compared to its competition, and yet, even with that, probably in the argument for one of the greatest video game consoles of all time. That's crazy. It's just so cool. It's so cool. Mason, what do you got?
I got a lot. Sure. Yeah.
Can I throw one more thing in there before you start? So Jared talking about the remasters and like upping, like these games don't even need to be like upped. They could just take what was already there and like slightly just like touch it up here and there and be perfect. They don't have to like really up them at all. Whether it is through their emulator services that they have, like where they've been constantly updating them through online, or just re-releases where you have to buy them bundled, whatever. I would assume they would bundle them. I want every Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS. Don't have to do 3DS, but everything up until the Nintendo DS, I want every single Pokemon
The
title
DS, I
bundled
feel
and
like, had a decent amount,
re-released.
didn't it?
If they could do it, they could. I think they could. There's really not that many on each one. The DS had a decent amount, but you could bundle them and like just touch them up and throw them on there. I think people would be just fine with it. I would be just fine with it. You do a diamond, you do a diamond, like a diamond, pearl, and platinum bundle. Throw that on there. You could do
Yeah, I just
Ruby,
don't know if
Sapphire,
they're gonna
Emerald.
Do it,
Throw that
'cause
on there.
They're getting this.
Fire Red
They're in
meets
this.
green.
Listen,
Throw it on there.
just hear me out. I'm sorry.
Like
I know
stuff
you
like
want
that. I think that would be totally fine.
But they did.
Call of Duty Ghosts remastered exclusively
I
for
want
the
them
Nintendo
to.
Switch.
That's enough reason. And I want Scalebound.
Exclusively. You can't play it anywhere else. Only on the Switch.
Put Ghosts
no,
on Switch. Put it on Switch. Listen, Nintendo. You make Ghosts 2
I think my thing with
a
the
Switch 2
Pokemon thing
title,
is like,
and then we'll be good. And then I'll buy your
they're
stupid
remaking a lot
console.
of the older
It's not
ones.
stupid. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
So I don't know if that's in their interest right now.
This is hopes and dreams, Brandon Mason.
Right. I'm sorry.
Leaf green. Ruby Sapphire. Diamond.
Exactly. Hopes and dreams. I'm counting sheep and counting Pokemon remasters.
Anyways, I guess I'll go now, right?
Black and White.
Yeah.
Black and White 2.
Okay. Mario Kart 9 is
Go
a day one
ahead.
launch for the console.
Yep.
Yup.
No, it is. Then that's
Ooh.
exactly why they won't do it. Because
That'd
it's
just be
so
way-
smart
that's- it's
and
way
it's
too
so
smart
easy
for them
it's
to do.
just,
Not
it's
like
the
not in like a
easy
bad
sell.
way. That's just like
And they'd be
that's
like,
easily the best thing they could do.
nah. Nintendo's just, nah. Here's a sports game.
I totally think that's it. If it's not that, then it's definitely Metroid Prime 4. But
Nah. We'll release it like 2 months later.
here's my thing. I feel like, but this was the same Breath of the Wild, so I could be wrong, and it pulled in a lot of people. But I just don't think Prime 4 is at a place right now where a lot of people will be like, "I'm getting a Switch too." So I think they just need that one game that's going to be like, "I'm getting a Switch too," and I think it's either going to be they do something like they did with 1-2 Switch, or it's going to be it is going to be Mario Kart 9. I think that is they're going to pull it all out and they're going to be like, here you go. And then I think following that year, it's going to be, the next 3D Mario, because God, that was 2017. We had the last 3D Mario game, which is bananas, insane.
That is crazy.
I mean, that's crazy. So whatever that is, the next 3D Mario, that's a bang for your buck. That'll probably be bundled with a console, most likely. Trying to think. I mean, when was Breath of the Wild? 2022? No, 2023.
Breath of the Wild
sorry,
or Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom.
2023.
Sorry, 2023. Okay, so we're definitely not getting a Zelda just yet. I feel like we just had a top-down Zelda, and 3D Zelda was only 2 years ago. So I don't know, but I think Mario is in the cards. We can say, oh, that's another thing. It's 40 years of Mario. Next in 2026, I think.
It's gonna be rare. It's rare replay, Brian, all over again.
40 games, 40 Mario games released all at once. All at once. This is
That
the
would be
$500,000 bundle. It's going to come with 40 Mario games,
But it
all
is
remastered for Switch
It is
2.
Mario's 40th
and they're only gonna
anniversary,
release
so I
2
think
copies
it's
of it.
somewhere there. This was another
That'd be
big
insane.
rumored game for Switch, and it might be for Switch 2, but supposedly the people behind the Odyssey game is working on a 3D Donkey Kong game. So, don't know when that's happening, but it's happening. It seems heavily rumored. Like, it keeps coming back in circles, and
Ooh,
I don't know. We'll see.
that'd be cool.
Another thing is day one, Switch Online gets GameCube. Either they get GameCube games on the Switch Online service, or we get Wii games on the Switch Online service, and that's day one with the console. And I don't know if they'd ever do it this way, because obviously I think Wii games could play on Switch, but maybe like exclusivity window. So like first 3 months, if you have a Switch 2, you get Wii right off the bat, but you have to wait a bit longer for it to come out on Switch, just to like ice the cake a little bit.
Oh, you're saying have it only play on Switch 2. I think that's the way you sell the consoles, is saying, hey, listen, the only way you can play the GameCube games and the Switch games via our online service is putting it on the Switch 2.
Yeah. Well, I guess and maybe that's it, because here's the thing, it could only be a Switch 2 thing, because the rumor is that, and this goes with the whole online thing, is that because the games that are on online, they're all cloud streaming, technically.
Yep.
You do download a software, but in the end, it's all you're playing the game from the server. And so far, you can only do that up to N64, which makes sense because I think N64 cards can only go less than 10 megabytes. I can't remember, but it's still relatively low, and it can handle that.
Yeah.
But I think when you get to Switch 2, you can start handling GameCube and Wii streaming better. And I don't know how it's done. Maybe it's that DLSSR that helps it. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, maybe it is a Switch 2 exclusive thing. I could totally see it. As far as like day one stuff, so like I think we get Prime 4 day one. That's easy. I think we get another game to kind of gauge the everyday audience, whether it's Mario Kart or some kind of gimmicky 1-2 switch thing, but I doubt they'll do that. I think it's going to be a full-fledged AAA Nintendo, which would be crazy if they put 2 AAA Nintendo games out the same day. It'd be absolutely crazy, but I feel like they kind of have an idea of how this is going to work.
Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort remastered exclusively on Switch 2. Day one, bundled in with your Switch 2, just like the Wii days with the Wii Sports. Do it that way.
What is your deal with remasters on the Switch 2?
I don't know, because I think it's time. We pump up those GameCube games and we pump up those Wii games. I think it's time.
What else was I gonna say? I mean, there's so much to say that can happen.
A new Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, let me know when that happens.
Aren't they working? They have a pretty good working relationship with Microsoft, don't they?
Oh, I know they do, but
imagine if they were like, listen, day one, you want to release Banjo-Kazooie.
Here's what I'll say.
Gotta
you
come
ready?
to Xbox too.
Day one, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle comes to the Nintendo Switch 2.
That'd be pretty. That'd be awesome. That game's selling really well and it's doing really well, so that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd say that's a good. Here's a crazy one.
That'd be nuts.
This one I just came up with. I highly doubt, on a million levels, highly doubt, but it would go bananas, I feel like, and that would be if Astrobot came to Nintendo Switch 2.
I would be so pissed off if that came to Switch 2. That would piss me off. I'd be like, really? You had the nugget again. Put it on PC. No? Switch 2? Really? All right.
Wait a year. You gotta wait at least a year.
Yeah, that'd be great. No. I have an Xbox. That doesn't bother me. But
and then they're like, in the fall, Xbox Series X, Astrobot. No PC in sight.
And also, I think day one, your Switch games, no extra cost to up-res them. You just put them in and then it automatically has an update to work with your Switch 2 and give you the best quality in gaming.
That's cool.
And I feel like that's fair. I know they're giving us backwards compatibility, but I feel like that kind of goes with it. If you're going to give us backwards compatibility, then I feel like that should just go with updating it, as if you're going from PS5 to PS5 Pro. You're not going to pay an additional $10, or whatever it may be. Maybe it's only if you're an online member, you get those up-resed, whatever.
Well, they did that with the PS4 to PS5, right? Where like if you had the PS4
they did it
version,
for like.
For some of them you would get it for free. Like Cyberpunk, you would get it for free. Sackboy, you get it for free.
Miles Morales.
Yeah,
but
you got
Last
it for free.
Last of Us Part 2, you have to, if you had the PS4 version, you'd pay $10.
You had to do the same thing for Spider-Man. If you had if I had Spider-Man, because I remember this on my PS5, Spider-Man on PS4, I'd pay $10 to get the PS5 version.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mine came with Miles. In my Miles Morales, it came with a remastered version.
Yeah, you got to remember, I played Miles Morales on PS4. I didn't play it on PS5. I only played Spider-Man, the original PS4 version. I never played the remastered.
Oh, the PS4 version doesn't come with the remastered.
No, I had to buy. You had to buy it when you played it. It said $10. Yeah, certain games allowed you to upscale, like to get Cyberpunk right for PS4 for like $10, as opposed to the $60 price tag or whatever they were charging for the PS5 version. Just to be able to play it that way, so it's way easier. Saves you some dough. So doing that with the Switch, having that right out the
Oh,
gate.
that was my other thing. Switch Online finally does 2 free games a month or whatever it is.
They got to.
finally do it. They finally do it. If they're doing backwards compatibility, they have a whole Switch library to work with and also a bunch of indie games to do it. So please do it. I think it's
Which is why they won't. This is the whole
better.
narrative that I'm.
They gotta do
trying to put out there.
They gotta do it.
but maybe they will.
It makes too
Maybe
again.
instead
It makes too
of
much sense
GameCube,
for
you
them
get
to
2
do it.
Switch games or whatever it is.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be.
They
really
might.
cool.
And then the last thing I'll say, and I
That'd be
didn't really
so-
talk this much
that'd be
about with
crazy.
you guys, but that Nintendo
I hope they do
playtest
it.
program.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So whatever that comes out to be might be kind of like a Astro's Playroom scenario. Where
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes built into the system.
Hmm.
Because the rumor is that game is a way. So this is twofold. This game works with a achievements system. So achievements will be added to Switch games.
Oh my God! You want to talk about a game changer for me? That would be a massive game changer for myself. Just saying.
And it's on both Switch 1 and Switch 2 games. You could go back to older games and get achievements. But anyways, kind of like how you got achievements in Xbox, you get points and
Yep.
you'd use it to buy like your avatar clothes and whatnot.
Yep.
So they do that, but instead of like for your Mii's or whatnot, it would be for this game that comes with it. And as you get more achievements, you can use the points from achievements into this game that comes with the system to, buy stuff with, I guess. I don't know. It's unsure what this game is supposed to be because it literally looked like an actual play test where like everything was just a skeleton. There wasn't really anything added to it, but bits and cubes. It was kind of just it's weird. Like definitely looked like it was like super beta mode.
Weird.
Very weird. But we'll see.
Wild and
Well, that's
weird
all
and
mine.
weird and wild. Get it? See what I did there?
That's wild.
I think I hear a baby. Did you guys hear that?
Aha.
Oh, we heard a baby. We still
Okay.
hear it.
I still hear it
We're gonna
too.
Get that baby.
I'm gonna go get that baby. All right, hold on. I'm gonna put my thing on mute, and I'll be right back. What are we playing?
Before I say anything, all I hear is like in the background. I just see like Asher fly across the camera. Like a Muppet.
Go to sleep. Go.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh,
Just thrown across the stage like they would do on Muppet Show. Oh my lord. Oh god.
the Diaper War.
That's for Jared.
What am I playing?
preparing for war.
Tuned off from PlayStation stuff for now.
The Diaper
Because I
War.
platinumed Ghost of Tsushima. I didn't
God.
get to say that here.
What are you playing?
I platinumed Ghost of Tsushima. Oh, here comes Jared. I'm going to say it to him when he comes back.
All right, there you go. Nice.
You're muted, pal.
You know, they say, I didn't realize I was muted. They say, Jared, you should have kids. And I said, yeah, I should.
Oh, we all said that.
Yeah, we all say, Jared, you should have kids. And I go, yeah, you're right.
I like how you definitely did not change him and just went to give a diaper to Lydia.
I realized I didn't turn that off. And yeah, I realized. When I walked by, I was like, oh. Realized that. That's hilarious.
Change yourself.
Brian said something funny.
What did he say? Yeah, I turned the camera pointing at the door. You good? All right.
You just threw the diaper in his room. You're like, you got it, and then you close the door.
I was telling Brian, like, he leaves the room, but then all of a sudden you see like Asher fly across the camera like a muppet.
You know, I was slightly worried about that. Yeah, he's gonna come running in, being like, "Hello, you're a poopy head," or whatever.
When was it? Was it when we were over for your birthday? You like ran out like naked.
Yeah, like,
you're a poopy head. You have 20 kids.
He comes out. Look at my butt. Oh, look at me.
I swear to God, I was like sitting in the chair.
Change right now.
I was sitting down, and then like I look up, and there he was, a bear kid in front of me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! And like Lydia's like, oh my goodness!
I shall go back in and get changed. He's laughing the whole way. Can I tell you the story?
He was.
There was one time I was giving him a shower, and it was something. Ben had pink eye at the time, and my youngest had pink eye, and I was like, oh yeah, my eye hurts. Maybe I have pink eye. And Asher looks at me dead in the face and goes, "Oh, here's." He goes, "I got your pink eye right here," and he turns around, bends over, and spreads open. Oh, I was dying. It was hilarious. It was so funny.
No, he didn't.
I swear to God. I swear to God, he did it. I got your pink eye right here, Dad. And then turned around and went, whoop.
That's wild. That's unhinged.
Isn't that amazing? I was like, he's definitely my son. Like, there's no doubt about it. It was so
one day,
so funny.
One day we're gonna get like somebody who does animations on YouTube that watches our stuff, and they're gonna do like an animation.
Oh my God!
And my face just going, what? Oh, it's my favorite. My favorite story of my son is that's the best one.
Like, I don't know. I'm laughing, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, he knows where it comes from.
I don't even know how. Like, I don't even know how he would have thought that. Like, where that even would have came from in his mind. Like, it's just like, I got it right here for you. I know, the more you think about it, the funnier it gets, right? Because imagine that scenario. My bathroom's like this big. So he's here and I'm right here, and so all of a sudden it's right here.
I'm just imagining like the swift movement he had to do to really get to the punchline.
He already had it geared up, ready to go. Like, he was thinking about it the whole time. He's probably like, this would be funny. I'm gonna get Dad with this. I'm going to tell that at his wedding in 20 years. That's so funny.
And then you're going to drop your pants and then show him your hair.
Oh my God. 46-year-old Jared just like, this one's for you, Asher. So turn around. He'll be like, I remember that. That's hilarious, Dad. Everybody's like,
that's my dad.
Yeah, that's my dad.
And then Lily's like, oh my goodness.
I've been married to
Jared, put
this
your clothes
man.
on.
I've been married to this man for 20 years. After all of that, just chucks the ring.
It's like tossing the bouquet, except if you catch the ring, you're married to Jared.
Yeah, one-handed catch it. Yeah.
Slip it on the finger as you catch it.
Listen, having kids.
I
is an
Odell
absolute
Beckham it.
blessing. There are times where they
catch it
these
one
boys
handed.
test my patience, but with stories like that, you just go, "This life is amazing." That you can tell stories like that. This life is like with
No,
these boys.
it's
is
really-
amazing.
It's really more like, damn, I have a smart son.
Yeah, too smart. You know, like how I could see him going into a room full of people and doing something like that. You know, just having no shame.
I mean, he almost did.
Yeah,
If I
pretty
said
much.
anything about Pink Eye, he would have went, whoa!
Uncle Brandon, I got it right here for you.
I don't want that gooby hand anymore.
Yeah, just bink. Slap. All right, what are we playing?
Anyways.
Let's take it home.
I was telling Brian that the first thing I wanted to say is like platinum
God.
is Tsushima.
Freaking gooby hand.
Just a Tsushima, not well. I guess it's only Tsushima, but I haven't got 100% on the other like Iki Island and whatnot. But the main game I have 100% platinum, so done with that. So now I'm playing Odyssey again,
That's cool.
and I'm really trying to like 100% and find every moon. And I don't know if I'll actually ever beat the final challenge on the darker side of the moon or whatever it is, but it's tough, so don't know. But currently playing that. I kind of stopped Breath of the Wild. I was playing that, and then I was like, do I really want to play this? Because I know it's going to have a way better look for Switch 2, so I'm going to hold off on that until Switch 2, most likely.
I have been playing a whole bunch. All right, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of video gaming going on in this house right now. From Ballatro, which I stopped, but then with Christmas and getting a bunch of Steam gift cards, I bought a bunch on Steam. So the one I tried, I've been wanting for a long time, and I finally got to try and play. It's amazing. The RoboCop Rogue Agent. Oh my god, that is a blast to play. It's so fun. It's gory, guys. Just gory. Feels just like the original movie.
Ooh.
The weapons feel you obviously you're RoboCop. The only thing it's got to nail is you feeling massive and heavy and an absolute badass. That's the only thing it's got to nail, and it nails it. And it's so fun. It was a really good time. I was really blown away. And then for Christmas, my wonderful wife gifted me my a PlayStation 3. Probably, I've said this before and I'll say it again, my favorite era of video games was the Wii 360 PS3 era of video games. It's my favorite. I've had like 8,000 PS3s in my day, like tons of them. I buy them, sell them, get rid of my collection, restart all the time. This time, I think it's going to stick though. I don't think I'm going to sell anything anymore. I think we're good. So I've beaten 2 games. Brandon said he might know the first one. Brandon, what's the first game I beat with my wife?
Uncharted.
That's right, baby. That's right. Uncharted 1. We beat it yesterday. Lydia really enjoyed it. My wife. It was really fun. It's my second time playing through it. Her first. We're probably going to start the second one tonight. She really dug it. I really liked it too this time.
That's a fun
I will
one.
say it's not perfect. There's definitely some things going on in it that I'm not like super huge on, but it definitely. I think the supernatural stuff doesn't really do it for me. I kind of I get it, you know.
It's not a perfect
and
game. It's very
fun,
good, but it's not. It's
but,
it's got its flaws.
Definitely, like I was like, the villain isn't the best either, so it's like, you know, but everything else around it's really good. A little challenging too. I forgot how challenging the original Uncharted is, but it's really fun. The other one I beat this by myself. This is my first time playing one of these games all the way through. So Brandon Mason made mention of this game, of this series a while back. I don't remember what episode. He made mention. He said, the PS3 era of those games isn't that good. I beg to differ. Because I beat Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction on PS3. You said that this era of Ratchet and Clank isn't very good. This game is fantastic.
I didn't say we're very good. I said just not as memorable. I don't remember a lot.
I would disagree, and I think you should go back. This is the first one, and aren't they on PS Plus now?
I don't know if all of them are. They're slowly maybe they all. No, I'm thinking of all the Jack and Daxters are on there.
I'm pretty sure.
I know some of them are.
I think these got ported over or through their service or whatever, streaming. This is really good.
Well, I gotta start from the first one.
Well, the collection on PS3 for all three of them is like $40. So that's why I haven't bought that yet.
Well, can't you just play the one that's for PS4? Isn't that the same?
That's basically a full remake, right, of the original game.
Yeah, I mean it was for the movie, but
I'm talking just the collection of all three of the original ones. That's a $40 investment, which isn't really terrible because the PS3 right now is really cheap to buy games for. If you consider the fact $40 for 3 games, it's really not that bad. Like, it's okay. The Sly Cooper collection is $60, and that's 3 games. So you look at it, you go, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense. So those are the two. I'm going to start the next Ratchet and Clank game this week, which is A Crack in Time, which I've heard is really good. I also purchased God of War, the first 2, original on PS3, the HD remasters. I have God of War 3 as well, so I'm going to go through those. I'm going to start those as well. So the PS3 has been taking up a lot of my time. I have always loved that system. I still continue to love that system. It's a blast. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank is really good. The first Uncharted is great. Brian, what you been playing? You still doing your casual stuff?
So my casual stuff, I feel like a broken record with my what I'm playing. College football, still playing it. I finally got Clemson to the national championship, and I won today against Kansas State. It was my second season in this dynasty. Went undefeated, went all the way, like blew out numerous opponents. Our closest game was against Texas A&M in it was week 8 or 9. We won by 1 possession. Every other game was like a blowout. So I'm going into my 3rd season. Yeah. I think I'm going to start another dynasty. I'll keep the Clemson one going, but I want to start one with a smaller school with a lower overall and make that much more challenging because Clemson's like a top 25 school. So doing a dynasty with them, it's like your roster's kind of already set. So you don't have to change much. Whereas like you start with a smaller school, I mean, that's like a 5+ season rebuild. So I'm looking forward to that.
And then you do this.
Been playing a little bit of Cyberpunk here and there. I keep running into the issue of starting it late. So I'm like, oh, there's so much going on, but I'm playing it at like 10 o'clock. Like, I'm like nodding off. I'm like, there's so much information that's being thrown at me. I'm like, I play for like an hour and I'm like, I gotta either play like a game of college football or just go to bed. So I'm maybe on a day off, like when I don't have anything going on from like the early AM to an early PM.
I run into that all the time with having kids.
And not have to worry about
because it hits
nodding off or retaining a bunch of information about corporations and hacking and all this good stuff. Because like it's.
I wasn't looking for a compliment, but if we're giving them out, thank you.
Nodding off, yeah. Even without kids, I'm nodding off. It's wild. So I can't even imagine. Kudos to you, brother, man. Of course. But that's pretty much just been me. Of course, I have my games that I want to play. I have games on the back burner on Xbox and Switch. And talking about Switch today, maybe makes me want to go and play the games I have unfinished. Like I have just barely touched Firewatch. Would love to get back into that. And some other ones on there as well that I bought like on sale, have like that are like ports, and would love to finally get them out of the way and play them. But I haven't had too much time just at the house to play. I'm always just out and about, whether it be work or whatever else. So it's like I have my little bit of time. It just goes to college football and like the little tiny bit of Cyberpunk I play.
Sure.
Custom
Well, that's been-
themes.
No,
Yeah.
that's been me.
Yeah, that's got to be a desperate. Yeah, we got to do that. The 3DS had them. Let's go. Come on.
All right. And with that,
Ooh.
that is episode 8
Mhm.
of Trifecta Talks. And we'll let you all go back to your regularly scheduled program with Brian Sings and Swoons, the classics. Good night, everybody.
Oh my God, that was a hell of a serenade. Good night, everyone. We'll see you in everything we do.
And that has been Swoons with Brian Dangler. Good night. Bye-bye.